Hello everyone, my name's Bemaniac and today I'm here to teach you how to play Josai Rizal. I've mained Josie Rizal for about a year and a half now, mostly playing 7.0 at my local arcade, but also playing in different tournaments and exhibition events.
Look at that!
So now the game's finally out for everyone to play, I thought I'd make this guide to give a general overview of the character, but also share some tips and tricks that I've gathered from playing her over the past year and a half, as well as watching some of the top Josie players in Korea and Japan. If you're relatively new to Tekken and you don't know Tekken's notations, there's a link in the description to the Tekken Zaibatsu Legend which will give you everything you need to know. If you're new to fighting games and you don't understand all the concepts I'm going to talk about in this guide like frame data and Okizeme, make sure you check the description for all the guides that I'm going to be posting there about frame data, Okizeme, etc. First up, why in the hell should I even play Josai Rizal? Now Josie is an overhaul of Bruce with a change in focus. His infamous back 2 and back forward 4 are gone, and damage is overall lower, but in exchange just about everything else has been buffed. She can stay at plus frames far more consistently and easily than Bruce. Her stance mix-up has more options and almost every option is improved over Bruce. Her punishment game is much better, and everything is sort of tweaked in such a way that you aren't going to be playing her the same way as Bruce. Her overall game plan is focused around mix-ups that keep her up close in the opponent's face, and then backing up and using her strong whiff punishment tools if they try and retaliate. Her stance mix-ups are easy to initiate and hard to defend against, and you can get a lot of reward out of them if the opponent starts getting impatient. But even though these mix-ups are built to keep you up close, she also has some of the best whiff punishment in the game, making her range 1.5 to 2 game very solid as well. If this sounds like something you'd like to try out, definitely give Josie a go. Let's continue on with Josie's best moves. Thankfully, Josie has very few useless moves, but here I'm going to be going over all of her good moves and detailing why and when you should be using them. This isn't a top 10 or a top 15 list, and the moves are listed in no particular order. Let's start with her regular highs and mids. First, her jabs. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, down 4, 1, 2, down 4, 4, and 1, 2, 3. 1 and 1, 2 are just her regular old universal jabs, they're the same as most other characters in the game. 1, 2, 4 is a high, high, high that puts Josie in switch stance. More on switch stance in the next section, but trust me, being in switch stance is a good thing. 1, 2, down 4 is a high, high, low. This is minus on hit, but it puts you in a good position to punish people for retaliating with jabs. It is launch punishable on block, but you can also mix up with 1, 2, down 4, 4 to stuff punishes. This will trade with 11 frames and beat out 12 and above. 1, 2, 3 is a high, high, mid. It's minus 11 on block, but this can help make the opponent more wary of retaliating after 1, 2 and crouch blocking 1, 2, down 4. Now all of the above strings can also be started by foregoing the first jab and going straight to 2. This will be 12 frame startup instead of 10, however when you do the full 1-2 sequence, good players will be able to see the 1-2 and anticipate the mix-up. Starting with 2 makes everything a lot faster to prevent anticipation. 1-4. Now this is a surprisingly decent high-high string. I don't use it a lot myself, but I see Kagemaru use it a lot. It's plus 7 on hit and minus 4 on block. It's natural combo and some of the more patient players out there won't even retaliate on block because they're waiting for the final hit, which is launch punishable. Next is standing 3 and all the extensions. 3-3, 3-2, and 3-2 forward. Now since Josie doesn't have a generic 13 frame down forward 1 like a lot of other characters, this is pretty much what you'll be using in its place. 3 on its own isn't really something you should be using a lot. It's plus 3 on hit and minus 7 on block. You should judge how much success you get from the follow-ups against your opponent before deciding to use it on its own, as generally doing 3-2 forward and empty crouch dashing is a better option. 3-3 is mid-high, it's minus 1 on block, natural counter combo, and it knocks down if the second 3 hits. Obviously this can be ducked and launched and it's still relatively easy to step, but this is a great answer to people who retaliate with 13 frame mids a lot, especially given how easily you can get +1. More on that later. 3-2 is mid-mid, -12 on block, natural counter combo. If the first hit is blocked but the second hit is counter hit, this will also knock down or wall splat. Now you might think this is the answer to people ducking 3-3, but this is actually more of an answer to people who are retaliating against the next option, 3-2 forward. 3-2 forward is the main option that you'll probably end up using the most. This cancels the 3-2 into crouch dash to initiate a mix-up. Covered more in the next section. Down forward 1-4-2. This is my favorite string to make people terrified of pushing buttons. The full string is mid-low high, but the beauty of it is that if the second hit is counter hit, the final hit is guaranteed. If the final hit hits, that also gives you a guaranteed ground hit, which at the wall will give you face down feet away Oki. Once you've successfully trained your opponent into not retaliating after down forward 1, this becomes my favorite mental plus frame move. Even though down forward 1 is -7 on block, it's possible to nab people's delayed reactions with counter hit launches and keep them locked up desperately trying to avoid damage. Down forward 4. This is pretty much Josie's staple mid. It's got 14 frames of startup and it puts her in switch stance. The more important things is that it tracks to the right, which is considered Josie's bad side, and it also has an extremely low hitting hitbox. That means that it beats Ling's AOP and Eddie's Relax, and it can even be used to pick up off the ground in resets. Covered more in the last section. Down 3+4. This is Josie's moderate risk, high reward ground hit. It's -13 on block, so be careful using it against patient players, but it wall splats when standing and gives you face down feet away Oki when done on a grounded opponent near the wall. Back 1-2-4-4. This is a string similar to Bob's back 2-2-4-4, except this one has 11 frames of startup and it's high mid mid high. It knocks down or wall splats if the final hit connects, it's -10 if the third hit is blocked without follow-up, and the third and fourth hits are both delayable. Forward 3. This is a slow long range mid that puts you +6 on block. You can use it to keep people locked down and use it for generic frame traps. Running 3. This is a slightly faster mid with a better hitbox than forward 3. This one also leaves you +6 on block, but it leaves you further away than forward 3, so your mix-up options are a bit more limited. Next up are lows. Down 4. This is one of the most annoying lows in the game. It's 15 frames of startup, +1 on hit, and really good range. Not only that, on block it's only -10. This means that it can only be punished with 10 frame crouch jabs if they're not low parrying. This is going to be your staple low poke. This is going to net you +1 very frequently and you should get used to using it a lot. It's an amazing move. CD3. This is a really long range low. It's +4 on hit and -13 on block, and if it counter hits you get another free crouch dash 3. While you can use this to low poke from really far away, its better use is for its damage and plus frames, similar to Brian's quarter circle back 3. Down forward 3. This is Josie's staple crushing low. It's very slow at 26 frames and it's -13 on block, but it has a low mid extension that can be delayed and cancelled into crouch dash. That extension follows the same rules as 3-2 and 3-2 forward. It's natural counter combo, and if the first hit is blocked and second hit counter hits, it will knock down or wall splat. Full crouch down forward 4. This is a long reaching low that does a lot of damage. It's -15 on block, so it's launch punishable against most characters, and it's only +1 on hit, but you can get a lot of mileage out of this against Mishimas and other people using lots of highs. You also get a free grounded crouch dash 3 on counter hit. Next up are homing moves. 3+4. This is her go-to fast homing move. It's high, 16 frames of startup, and knocks down on hit. Back 3. This is the homing move to use if you have more time on your hands. It's mid with 22 frames of startup, and something along the lines of +10 or +12 on hit, but it has too much pushback to get anything guaranteed. The real strength of this move is this little spinny animation. This means that it wall splats if the opponent has their back directly against the wall. Next up are long range whiff punishes. Forward 1+2. This is Josie's staple whiff punisher. It's high, 14 frames of startup, and safe on block. It gives you a free down forward 1-4-2 on hit. It's also a low crush, so you can use it against some annoying lows like Jacks down back 1 with a lot of reward, and it takes a pretty hard read for them to punish you for using it. Getting this with the follow-up also gives you one of Josie's best Oki situations in the game. That's covered more in the last section. Back 4-3. This is a 16 frame mid-mid. It's good as a whiff punish, but you can also just use it as a generic poke. It's +5 on hit and -6 on block without any follow-ups. If you're feeling frisky, you can do back 4-3 down 4. This is +3 on hit and -13 on block. The only issue with this string is that all the follow-ups are interruptible when the first 2 hits are blocked. And since back 4-3 on its own is so good, it's very hard to justify using the follow-ups. Forward 4-3. This is Josie's longest range whiff punish. It's mid-mid and 17 frames as startup. The only issue with this one is that it's only +1 on hit, but this will reach people in situations where forward 1+2 will whiff, so definitely use it when it's necessary. Up forward 3+4. If you're trying to go for forward 1+2, but the moves that you're trying to whiff punish leave the opponent crouching, you want to use this move instead. Next up are her normal hit launches. Down forward 2. This is probably one of the best well-rounded mid launches in the game. It's 15 frames as usual, it has really good range, it normal hit launches crouches, goes under jabs in the right situation, but it's also still only -13 on block. Up forward 4. This is a hop kick. I shouldn't have to explain anything. Also sometimes it goes under jabs. Crouch dash 2. This is a really long range launcher with a higher damage combo than from her other launches, but it's -14 on block. Most of the time you'll probably want to only be using this as a massive whiff punisher against things like Wake Up 4. But if people aren't punishing correctly, you can also use it as an easy mix-up between Crouch Dash 3. Up forward 3, up 3, and up back 3. This is Josie's Orbital. If you've been keeping up with things, you've probably already seen the really funky hitbox this thing has. Next up are all her counter hit launches. Standing 4. This is just a standard 12 frame magic 4. It's -5 on block, and on counter hit you get a smaller than usual combo, but still a good one nonetheless. Forward 3+4. This is a short range counter hit launcher that's got 16 frames of startup. It's her go-to option for close range frame traps. Now it is -9, so it's not only safe, but it also has the perfect amount of pushback to let you catch people out who try and retaliate with jabs. Forward 3. This is kind of a weird counter hit launcher, but it's really useful if you're good at hit confirming. It's a little bit slower than our other options at 18 frames of startup, but its real strength is that on block it's only -3, which gives you a ton of room to sidestep against people who retaliate. Now the weird part is that it doesn't actually launch on counter hit. Instead it gives you the genuine frame advantage needed to float with a 12 or 10 frame move. For this reason it's really important to hit confirm, because you need to really quickly jab or standing 4 or make a defensive decision if you see it blocked. Forward 4. This is by far one of Josie's best moves. It's a safe, homing counter hit launcher. Its range has taken quite a hit since it became a counter hit launcher in FR, but it's still extremely good. You'll essentially be using this to stuff people who sidestep and attack quickly, throw it out at mid-range as a initiation, and even use it in frame traps. Down back 2. This is a full high crush counter hit launcher. It's a bit slow at 20 frames of startup and it's -11 on block, but you'll get a lot of mileage out of this at lower levels of play against people that do lots of jabs and don't know how to punish. While standing 3. This is going to be the mid option while you're doing your full crouch mix up with full crouch down forward 4. Got 16 frames of startup, it's -7 on block, it's a launch on counter hit, and you get a free grounded Crouch Dash 3 on normal hit. Next are all of her while standing moves. While standing 4. This is just a standard generic 11 frame while standing 4. It can also be used by doing Crouch Dash 4, which becomes a safe mid option to mix up with Crouch Dash 3. This also has the perfect amount of frame disadvantage and pushback on block to do some down forward 2 shenanigans. While standing 1. This is just a 13 frame while standing mid. You can throw it out randomly to try and fish for counter hits where you get a guaranteed forward 1+2. While standing 2-1. This is Josie's 13 frame while standing launcher. Typically this will only be used as a punish, but since it jails now, there's less risk in throwing it out randomly. Depending on how people try and punish this, you can also cancel it into backsway and do all kinds of different shenanigans. I'll be covering this in more depth in the last section. While you're crouched, you can also do full crouch, down forward, down forward to dash forward while you're crouched. And now to finish off with just some miscellaneous moves. Forward 3+4 is Josie's command grab that needs to be broken with 1+2 with wall splats. Down forward 3+4 is Josie's power crush. It's mid and -12 on block and at wall splats. Crouch dash 3+4 is Josie's rage drive. It's a mid normal hit launch. That's 2 hits and +6 on block. However, because of the pushback, typically you'll only be able to use long range moves from the frame advantage. And down forward 1+2 is Josie's rage art. In the next video I'll be going over all of Josie's stance moves as well as how to mix up and apply pressure with her stances. So make sure you hit the subscribe button or the circle face if you want to see that video as soon as it comes out, as well as some ranked gameplay mixed in between. But until then, thank you everyone for watching and I'll see you next time.